What is the worst thing someone's bragged to you about? They got second place for homecoming king back in high school. He was 34. To be honest, getting homecoming king when you're 34 is fairly impressive. This is pretty sad. It could be worse. He could be bragging about second place while in reality there were only 2 nominees. But did they score 4 touchdowns in one game? No, but I'm sure Al Bundy got first place. My grandma still brags about being homecoming queen back in 1951. This girl at a party was bragging that she was a fantastic drunk driver and that she could make it home when seeing double. She seemed genuinely surprised when half the party came at her for her stupidity. Never drive drunk for f***'s sake. People like this make me want to commit murder. People like this commit murder. A guy that I met at a party once bragged to me about how many cats he's killed on the road. If he saw one crossing, he'd speed up and try to hit it. I told him that he was a terrible person and he and his friends laughed. Once the laughter died down, I deadpanned that I was serious. He spent the rest of the night sulking. Yeah, I have to walk away from people like that, otherwise I will do something they will regret. Yeah, animal abuse makes me see red. I'd love to go Rorschach on those people. Dude, he told you he runs over cats for fun, you should have punched him. I was just so shocked. Plus, I felt pretty outnumbered since his friends were also laughing along with him. I was a pretty non-athletic 22-year-old girl at the time. My friend was in the army and came home on leave one weekend with a guy he became friends with. We were all drinking and shooting the shit, it was going good, and then me and his buddy get onto the topic of hunting and guns and things like that. He then told me that back home they get a lot of stray dogs and puppies, and for fun they would throw puppies in the air and shoot them like skeet. I was appalled and have no idea why he would ever tell someone he had done that shit. I'm just going to tell myself that this guy was making it up just to get a rise out of you. There, that's much better. John Wick wants to know his location. Cheating on their partner. The worst part is they weren't, they just lied about it to impress everyone. In what context would that be impressive? I have sex, type context. My dad was bragging about his new girlfriend after he left my mom for her, not even 2 days after leaving her. This doesn't sound bad, but I'm his kid. Showing me your text messages with another woman 2 days after breaking her heart is cold and heartless. I think he was trying to prove he wasn't alone to you. It's a weird way, but he probably had a hard time coping with the divorce. It is his own fault, he blindsided all of us. It doesn't help he talked my mom after he left her. I have no pity or sadness for him. My cousin dated a man in his 30s when we were teens and her parents did nothing to stop it. I had an age-appropriate boyfriend and she once said to me, "My man gets a lot of disability money. Get a man like mine. Aim high." There are a lot of complete losers in their 20s and 30s, who love teenage girls because they're so easy to impress with welfare money, shitty drugs and cheap booze. That's what I love about high school girls. I get older, they stay the same age. Really gross quote, pretty good movie. Robbing old people. Guy at a friend's party was bragging about this one time he snatched an old lady's purse because she looked at him like he would do such a thing, so he showed her. I guess maybe the lady was being prejudiced, but damn dude. Great tactic on fighting stereotypes. She probably didn't do anything and he just used it as an excuse. I mean, even if she did look at him in a way he didn't like, that doesn't mean he can do what he did. Exactly. My mom had a friend who she always refused to go to lunch with because she always bragged and laughing about how whenever she went to a restaurant, she would always ask for the manager and complain about something to either get her meal for free or a big discount, even if everything was perfect. I've waited on idiots like that, and you do not want to know what have I wished upon them. Dude bragged to me about how he got kicked out of the army for showing his to an office full of mostly female contractors while stateside. Bonus points, I was interviewing him for a client that was considering hiring him for a decent position. Few, if any, stories that will impress people involve the words kicked out. Few, if any, stories will impress people involve whipping your dick out at work. What if your pet rabbit is named Dick and you're a magician? Having an STD. When I was in my senior year of high school, there was this middle-aged guy I worked with who told me and a few other young employees that he had gonorrhea and genital herpes from having sex with countless women. I remember him saying something along the lines of "I f*** a lot, guys. Like, a lot. I know I should be wearing a condom, but I just can't help it. These ladies can't get enough of me." I guess he felt pretty high and mighty to be bragging about having unprotected sex to a group of teenage boys. The douchebag ended up getting fired a few months later because he wrapped his arms around my female manager's waist while she had her back turned. I guess he thought it would be seen as cute, but she slapped the shit out of him and fired him on the spot. It was wild. She was married, so she wasn't having any of that shit. Getting away with spending as little time as possible with his own kids. The guy bragged about how many rabbits, deer, and pheasants he killed on a hunting expedition he went on, without a license. When asked what he did with their bodies, he said he just left them there, satisfied to have hunted them down and killed them. 100% asshole. And 0% reason to remember the name. Haha, nice. I don't do well with people like that. I have to remove myself from the situation or I'm going to get heated. My ex-wife's brothers had 3 topics of conversation. 1. How drunk they got last night. 2. How drunk they got on some occasion in the past. And 3. How drunk they planned to get next weekend. Wife's cousin explained it like this: I like drinking, and I like talking about drinking. My sister brags to me about how even though she is younger, that she would have taboo experiences with her boyfriend, while I still had my V card. Like how she held up a line of people at a porta potty at the local park for 20 minutes because she was sucking him off. She held up a line of people at a porta potty at the local park for 20 minutes. Because she was sucking him off. Ah. A romantic. An undergrad bragged about being given $50,000 a year by her rich uncle to a room of self-made scientists, who are first or second generation immigrants to the USA. Needless to say, no one cares what you're given. I had a co-worker who would constantly brag about being a sociopath. And I was always like, haha, okay bro. Until he went to jail for trying to kill his wife. The guy sounds like a good party. Nah, he lied constantly, about everything. My mom bragging about my useless ass. Talk about a kamikaze. My mum talks me up, hella too much. I never live up to their expectations. Being ignorant about politics. Please stop bragging about not knowing things. One of my internet friends has a Minecraft realm on Bedrock Edition. One of the guys on there is really annoying, like way too annoying. Instead of just owning it and maybe even help with it, he starts bragging about being depressed and wanting to kill himself. That's right, no need to fix your eyes. This kid brags about being depressed and suicidal. He couldn't go 5 minutes without mentioning that he's depressed or that he wanted to kill himself. Everyone on told him to get help, but he would say no. He's stopped now, as far as I know. A few Christmases ago my uncle bragged to the family about helping his boss set up a dummy corporation to defraud the state government. The Christmas afterwards, he was between jobs because the old place got caught. Have a mate who brags that he's never read a book in his life. F***ing his stepsister. Not genetically related at all, but by his mum's new marriage. He's 23. Met a girl at a party that said she had slept with 3 members of Motley Crue. Motley Crue are also a bunch of pricks too. Their career was based on viewing women as objects. I agree. I thought that it was very gross. Late to the party. I was at a different party a few years ago. Some guy there was drunk and bragging about how his lawyer got him out of serving any jail time for blowing a stop sign and killing a motorcyclist. Zero remorse. I still feel sick to my stomach about it. Their Fortnite wins. I had a really toxic friend who would brag about being rude to others. He was once bragging about making someone suicidal. Terrible friend. We're not friends anymore, thankfully. Former friend and roommate of mine once said, "Oh, I used to do that." What was he responding to? When I was talking shit about this guy that used to come to parties when I was in high school. I explained how he would go find drunk, passed out girls, and get into bed with them and see what he could get away with. This former friend had just admitted to being a rapist. He said it like it was nothing. No guilt, no remorse. He just had this air of confidence that he was able to get away with such a thing. That guy was, and still is, a douchebag. One time in school, someone bragged about having 3 pairs of AirPods and called me poor for not having any. I then threw one of the pairs into a lake nearby. He could smoke 5 grams of weed in a day. Got to the point 6 to 7 joints a day, didn't hit him at all. Good for you, man. I was in a car with a bunch of dudes I didn't know very well for a stag party. One of the guys started relaying a story his friend had told him in a tone that clearly indicated we were meant to think the friend was awesome, about how he couldn't convince his girlfriend to agree to anal sex, so he just grabbed her during foreplay and shoved it in, even though she had repeatedly said no. There was an extremely uncomfortable silence, and then one of the other guys said, "So you're saying he raped her?" The guy telling the story quickly tried to change his tone to make it sound like he disapproved of his friend's behavior, but it was way too late. This happened to me once, except instead of his dick, it was a really, really big dildo. It hurt so bad and he laughed about it waggling when I ran to the bathroom to lock him out. Took me a long time to get over it. I still think about it from time to time. Damn, I'm so sorry that happened to you. You deserve better. Jesus, this thread was a mistake. People are monsters. Sad face.